Hello, and thank you for joining me. My name is Erin Taylor, and I am a parent coach and educator and speaker and author. Today, I wanted to talk to you about talking to our kids about their fears. My mouse just dropped on the floor. I wanted to talk about particularly the fears they might be having around school safety, given what's been going on in the US and the recent Parkland school tragedy. And I think that there are many children and many parents who are feeling fearful, anxious, worried. In our school, in our middle school, over the past week and a couple of days, out of 5 school days, there were 4 different incidents involving shelters in place, and police, and even kids being taken into custody because of making threats of school violence and school shootings and stuff. So it's been a really challenging time recently. And I have a middle school daughter, and she has been very scared since the first threat and the first incident occurred a little more than a week ago. She's been very afraid. In fact, the rumors caught up with her on Sunday night a week ago, and when it was bedtime, she came out of her room and said she didn't want to go to school the next day because she was afraid of a school shooting based on some rumors that she had heard. And I told her that we couldn't let fear stop us from living our lives, that it was legitimately a scary time with all that's going on and with the most recent tragedy at Parkland, but we can't let fear stop us, because if we let fear stop us, we'll never do anything again. She asked if she could not go to school on Monday morning, and I said, well, the reason that doesn't work is because what if I say you can stay out of school on Monday morning? What about Tuesday morning? What about Wednesday morning? What about next week? What about next month? There's nothing to say that there's going to be some tragedy that happens on Monday. There's nothing to say that a tragedy will or will not happen on Tuesday or next week or next month. So if we start when the fear comes by staying out of school for a day, then it's going to be that much harder to go to school on Tuesday and Wednesday and next week. And then if we do that, we'll just never leave our bedrooms again. So that's not really a way that we should be choosing to live. And so she said to me, she looked deeply into my eyes, searchingly into my eyes, and she said, Mommy, what if you send me to school tomorrow and something horrible happens? And I could feel my blood turning ice cold at the thought of it, the mere thought of it. And I took a deep breath and I said, if something terrible happens, we'll deal with it then. But we can't stop living our lives because we're afraid. We just have to deal with the fear, handle it the best we can, and move on. And so she went to school the next day, and I was nervous and on pins and needles all day during the school day, hoping it would be uneventful, and it was. And she got to the end of the day, and she was happy, and she had a good day, and I said, are you glad you went to school? And she said yes, because everything was fine. And then the next day there was another shelter in place, another locker search, and then nothing really came of that one. And then there were 2 snow days. So Wednesday and Thursday of last week, no one went to school. And then Friday, school was back in session. And Friday afternoon, there was another another incident where one student overheard two other students talking about planning to bring a gun to school and shoot up the school. Then they realized that student overheard them and they made a threat to that student. That student went back to the school immediately and told the administration, and they immediately went out, got the witnesses, identified the kids who made the threat, and then dealt with it with the police. And that, I guess, was serious enough that the students were taken into custody. So that caused a whole new round of fear of going to school again Sunday night. And so we were right back there again, where my daughter was saying, "Are you sure I can't stay home tomorrow? Can you just homeschool me?" And I said, "No, the same thing I told you last week applies. We can't stop living our lives because we're afraid." I guess I failed to tell you, when we had our first conversation a week ago, I said to her, "I'm afraid too. The fear that you're feeling is natural and it's reasonable and it's real. And I feel the same thing, but I'm using it to fuel me. So it's inspiring me to work harder, to reach more parents, to help more kids." And she said, "But Mommy, I feel so helpless. I'm just a kid." And I said, "Honey, you're not helpless at all. You're incredibly powerful, in fact." And she asked me how. And I said, "You're already doing what you can do at your age." And she said, "What, by being kind?" And I said, "Yes." And she said, "Well, every day I wake up and I ask myself, how can I be kind today?" And I said, "That's it. That's all you have to do. You keep doing that and you'll be just fine." And imagine if everyone asked themselves that question. Imagine if each of us, child or adult, said, "What can I do to be kind today?" What would our world look like then? It's kind of a fantasy, a wonderful fantasy to think about. But I think we can strive to get there. And so when Sunday night came, I said to her again, "You keep being kind. I'm going to keep working and try to help more families and more kids and more parents. And we're just not going to let fear stop us." So she asked me if I would lay with her till she fell asleep. And then finally at 11:30 at night, she said, "I think you can go back to your own room." And the next morning I went in to wake her up, and she said, "I'm so exhausted. It took me forever to fall asleep, and then when I did, I had nightmares all night long. Can I please stay home from school?" And knowing her the way I do, I knew that if I allowed her to stay home that day, that it would make Tuesday that much harder to get her to school. So I said, "No, you can't stay home today, but I will let you sleep in. And then when you wake up naturally, then I'll take you to school." And so that's exactly what she did. And she was willing to get up, mopey. She was mopey, and she ate her breakfast and got ready for school. And she wasn't really thrilled about it, but she did it. And when we pulled up to the school to drop her off, I could feel her anxiety rising. And she said, "Are you sure we have to stop here? Can't you just keep driving and just take me back home?" And I said, "Honey, no, I'm sorry. You still have to go to school." And particularly this week, she has play practice leading up to her opening night at her school this weekend. And they're not supposed to miss for any reason unless they're sick, legitimately. And so I said, "Honey, you can't even miss school. You have to be at play practice." And so she went to school, and there was another incident on Monday. Another student making a threat. They got the police involved, the whole situation again. So our school is doing everything that it can, that the administration can think of, to reassure the kids who are feeling scared, to take quick, decisive action towards the kids who are making these threats, and to try to figure out how to navigate this really troubled water that we all find ourselves in. So I would just suggest to you that if you're a parent and you're watching this and you're feeling fearful, anxious, and worried for the safety of your child or children, or if your children are worried, that you really take a minute and ask what you can do as a person, you as a parent, them as a child. What can you do to make a positive impact in this situation? It may be something on a large scale where if you work in such an industry where you can contribute to policy change, great. If you do things like I do, you can work to reach more parents, more families. And if you're a child, you can just spread kindness. Just spread kindness. I saw a fantastic speaker last week at a presentation. His name is Dr. Mikey Fallon, and he talked about the school shooters that have caused tragedies in our country. And he said, I bet you that every single one of them in 4th and 5th and 6th grade sat alone at lunch. How many kids feel lonely, isolated, feel that they're rejected by their peers, that no one understands them? This presenter, Dr. Mikey, he said in 10th grade he was suicidal. He was depressed. He was anxious. He felt that there was nothing to live for, and he sat alone every day at lunch. And then one of his angel teachers in 10th grade pulled him aside after class and said, I've been looking at you. I've been watching you at lunch, and I noticed that you sit by yourself every day. And he said, yeah, I do. And she said, I want you to know you never have to be alone again. If you want to come to my lunch, at my classroom at lunch every day, you are welcome to. You never have to feel alone again. And he took her up on that offer, and he sat in this wonderful woman's classroom every day for lunch for the rest of the year. And he credits her with saving his life. So no matter whether you're a child who's trying to be kind to their classmates, or whether you're a teacher who takes that struggling, worried, isolated child under your wing, or whether you're a parent who's trying to bring your children up to spread kindness in the world and to not let fear stop them, or whether you're anyone in the world, if you can do your part just to make it a little bit nicer of a planet, to make the human race spread a little bit more kindness, you're doing your part. You're doing what you can. If we all contribute our unique little piece of the pie, then we can really start to change things. It doesn't matter what our political beliefs are. It doesn't matter how we feel about things or what our opinions are. If we all try to spread kindness, that's something we can all get behind. And when you do your part, it makes you feel empowered, and it helps to overcome that feeling of wanting to hide under your covers for the rest of your life. I know, because I've felt that and I've been there. So if you're struggling, if your child is struggling, if you need some help and guidance, please send me an email or comment below. My email is Erin, E-R-I-N, at Erin, ERIN-Taylor, TAYLOR.com. Erin at Erin-Taylor.com. I look forward to hearing from you. Thanks again, and have a wonderful day.